The South African Democratic Teachers Union is launching a campaign to fight budget cuts in the education sector. Provincial basic education departments might be forced to cut thousands of jobs. SADTU has spent the last 3 days contemplating solutions to this crisis. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba is attending the final day of the Congress in Boksburg and joins us now live. What can you tell us in terms of developments on the ground, Ziniko?
Good morning, Mhlaba. Once again, well, the delegates are trying to make their way into the main hall where we are, where they'll be closing off the conference after 4 days. And of course, as we said earlier on, that at the heart, of the major talking points has been that issue and anxiety in regards to the issue of possible, job cuts in the public sector, especially when it comes to the Department of Education, various provinces in South Africa. So throughout the next 3 hours, we'll try to engage how those delegates, especially teachers who've been deployed to attend this conference, are feeling, and if indeed they are concerned about that possibility. But now, let's bring in SADTU spokesperson and media officer Nomusa Cembi to give us a sense of how teachers on the ground are feeling. It's been a tough 4 days. I understand that the conversations have been very hectic, but very concerning. As leadership, we're looking at the people who have been deployed to come and engage on these matters. How are they feeling from your own personal observation? How is the situation like currently here?
Indeed, we have close to 2,000 delegates from all 9 provinces, from the branches of the union. Yes, when they came here, there was this. The mood was a bit low because at the start of the Congress, there was a press conference by the Minister of Basic Education where she presented a bleak picture of the education sector, due to budget cuts. But from the speakers who have addressed the Congress, one could get a sense that a government would do its best to ensure that there are not job cuts. One of the speakers was the Deputy President, Honorable Paul Mashatile, who committed that government would do their best to ensure that teachers do not suffer through these budget cuts. We are going to ensure that that department or government does really keep to its word. We will be watching out to see if really what the president or deputy president said will translate to the ground.
Talk to us about some of the challenges teachers are facing on the ground. These budget cuts, if they do happen, if no money is coming into the education sector, there won't be any teachers being hired, new teachers to add on your staff members that are already strained by the number of children. Just give us a sense of how bad is the situation, especially when it comes to the numbers teachers have to teach, but also their own challenges, because we also understand that this budget cut might also affect the lack of the employment of support staff. That will mean teachers will still have to do some more admin work. How's the situation? How bad is the situation on the ground?
Yes, if these cuts do happen, they will have dark consequences to the educators and education in general, in that teachers will be forced to teach overcrowded classrooms. Already teachers are teaching overcrowded classrooms, so it's going to be worse. And there will be very little support, because even if besides employing new teachers, you'll find that if a teacher goes on leave, on maternity leave or leave, there won't be any substitute teachers to come into that. So they will have too much work on their hands, and that will affect the quality of education that they are going to deliver to children. Because the more learners you have in class, the more it impacts on how you affect each and every learner. Because if there are more learners, you cannot teach, or you cannot have time to look at each and every learner in class. So many learners will be left unattended to.
How far have conversations between the union and, of course, your immediate stakeholder, the Department of Education and Treasury, in terms of addressing some of these issues? Because the overcrowding in classrooms has been a problem for the past decade or so. What's the attitude of the authorities who are meant to address this issue, and have you done enough to express these frustrations on behalf of the teachers to the government?
We engage mainly with the provincial departments of education. So if Treasury gives budgets to provincial departments, and it is provincial departments who decide what they do with the money that they have. We have learned that Western Cape is going to cut down on 2,400 posts, and Gauteng has announced that they will cut down on the school nutrition program and scholar transport. And whichever way, quality education will be affected. Yeah. If you are saying you are going to cut down on school nutrition, it means lesser or fewer learners will access education, because we know the impact of school nutrition program in school attendance. When the school nutrition program was introduced, we saw a rise in the number of learners attending. So whichever way, education is going to be affected, but we hope that the departments as well as Treasury really looks into this matter. And in this Congress, we are going to launch, as we close, we are going to launch a campaign which we say Go Public Fund Education campaign. It's a global campaign where we are urging governments to really increase the budgets that they have for education, because we believe that education is a public good. So if governments do not fund it, private players will come into space. And when private players come into space, then it is a problem, because education is a human right. So it is government who should take a lead in ensuring that every learner in South Africa accesses this human right, which is education.
Ms. Cembi, thank you very much for your time.
I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chaba. Very worrying picture there that has been painted by SADTU on this matter. Also saying that, well, they are launching a campaign, Go Public Fund, the Department of Education, or the public education, which is something that, is really not very much popular in South Africa. It's not something that we've seen before in terms of making a call out to say, please fund public education. But we know that, that the issue of the cutting of the budget is not something that is only affecting the Department of Education or the education sector as well. We know that even the other departments, whether it's tourism, whether it's public infrastructure, it's something that has been happening and complained about by various departments here in South Africa. So we'll see whether that commitment made by the Deputy President Paul Mashatile on the opening day of this conference is something that is going to yield any positive results that can be warmly welcomed by the education sector. So we're expecting the programs to start anytime soon, but we know that it's been delayed. It was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. It doesn't seem as if it will start on time. So maybe in the next 30 or 40 minutes or so.
Thank you so much, Ziniko. Of course, Ziniko Mhlaba is Newzroom Afrika reporter who's coming to us live from the final day of the Congress in Boksburg, where the South African Democratic Teachers Union is launching a campaign to fight budget cuts in the education sector.